Hey there, folks. Today I'm going to take us through our final assignment for the term, and I hope the most fun. So let's have a look. We are on Blackboard and we are looking at assignment number 5. Let's have a look. So, creative visual effects. All right, so design and produce a video where a person or people interact with or are affected by a visual effects element. You can work in groups and you can produce some kind of sequence, an impossible edit or a sequence where there's overlapping people, visual effects, people interacting with each other where they couldn't possibly, so through a screen or otherwise, and I'll show you some examples in a second. All right, so, or you can work alone and create your own visual effects scene. So if you're working in a group, each person must make a submission to the official link, just so I can make sure you're marked. And so one of the options I've created is this idea of realCAPTCHA. So let's go ahead and look at that now. So this is my sort of version of what could possibly happen in the world out there. So in a dystopian version of our world, humans must prove they are not a bot within everyday interactions. So I would like you to design, film, and composite a real-world example of someone having to prove they are human so they can proceed. And proceed could be anything, literally anything. Leaving a room, crossing a road, opening a door, opening a box of cereal, opening a binder to do your homework, opening the fridge, anything. Anything where it's absolutely ridiculous or useless. The more absurd, the better. All right, so this is a play on the idea of CAPTCHA or reCAPTCHA. And so using it as a guide, create a 10 to 30 second video where a character reacts to yet another annoying interruption of their day. All right, so what I would like you to do is choreograph a visual effects sequence that clearly shows a person being physically stopped from proceeding and forced to identify specific elements from an augmented reality display. Following UX motion industry standards, show the software reacting to the user's input and animating accordingly. Elements can either be rotoed or placed in between the camera and user with transparency. And I know I'm going fast here because I am going to show you an example that I put together. Okay? So I want you to be creative in the interactions that realCAPTCHA uses and the positive or negative results from the user's input. Is it easy? Are the images personal? Does the software believe the user is a human? What happens if it doesn't? All right, so there are your specs, and I'll let you have a look at that. So what does that mean? Let's go to our realCAPTCHA. So going back to our assignment here, you can see we have a link underneath. Okay. So this is the assignment specs there, and I'll show you an example from what I did. And the audio should be saying, "Oh, good, it's time to go home." No, you're not a robot. Yay, you get to go home. All right, so that is an example of what I mean. And what I've done is actually within this realCAPTCHA, within this After Effects project file, I have actually, I'll just open it up and we can have a look at it. I've actually built these elements up for you. So I'm using these two here. So if you're going to open this assignment, you'll need to download these two files as well, this GIF here. Okay. And you can so just double click on it and download the original and just save that to somewhere where you can get it. All right. And make sure that that is somewhere that you can find it. I'll put that there. And then our next one, double click down here and download that original file as well. All right, so when we get over to your Adobe After Effects file, it'll say that those two are missing. So I'll just bring that in. And then we've got to point to those files. So if you just go up in here into the project window and type miss, it'll come up with missing files, and you can just see them right there. So just double click and point it to where those are. There you are. And this one, I guess it was back in the downloads. There you go. All right, so when you get into this file, you will see that, and you just got to X out of there to see all the elements here. What you're going to see is an image box 1 through 9, okay? And that will correspond with each one of these. So you can upload into, say, image box 1, double click, and just bring in your media, whatever that is, whether it's a video or if it's an image. Okay, and you're going to do that for all 9 of these. And then you'll see that there is a realCAPTCHA Are You a Robot dialog box. And in here, if we zoom out, you'll see that this is when you first press or first are confronted, you'll see this thing shoot up towards you. So it's already animated. And then right here, you'll see the button press. So you're going to be timing it to try and, get it close to there. But of course, you can always split this up and move it around to time it to your button presses. And then you have a bunch of time in here. I just sort of extended this this loader here until right there where you have the final button press to verify that you're a human, and then it'll think about it just a bit longer and say no, and then it should animate out. All right, so there's a bunch of time in here, and so if you don't need that, you can always just split the layer, Control or Command Shift D, and then just bring these in so it happens faster. Right? Or make it longer if you need to. Okay? And so this here is the actual button press. Poop. So you can move that to where you are touching it. And so, yeah, so you can just bring these elements into your final video. Okay? You'll see here realCAPTCHA image selection dialog box. That's the same. So that's the main sort of input. And actually, what I was thinking would be really fun, especially if you're doing something with a group, is to play with the idea of an actual person interacting with the user inside these. So you choreograph something saying, hey, it's me. Oh, no, I'm over here now. No, I'm over here. And you've got to try and hit them like a sort of whack-a-mole style. That could be fun. Yeah, so there's a verify button press as well. Okay, so we don't need that one. That just goes on top. Yeah, and this is just the sort of animated version that goes on this Are You a Robot dialog box. Yeah. All right, so I will leave that to you to look at. And so if we go back to, okay, so let's stay on here. First of all, if you don't know anything about realCAPTCHA, it is the bane of many people's existence, certainly mine. especially if you use a VPN. So I've got a bunch of examples. These are some earlier versions as an example. There's articles on what it is and why it's terrible. This is the actual reCAPTCHA 3 from Google. And so there's a bunch of resources where you can learn about it. These are actually screen recordings from my computer that you're welcome to use as as examples or as reference for the kind of thing you do. So this is literally just a screen grab of me having to go through and select the bicycles, and then you can see how it takes a long time to go to the next one. Okay, good. And then a long time, and now it's cars for some reason. And you gotta go and find the cars, but you also have to wait until it slowly switches to the next thing, and it's, oh my goodness, why is it so slow? Okay, verify. Yes, finally you can go in and do it. But of course, for me, it's saying no. Vimeo is absolutely terrible at this. So if I reload it, you'll say continue, and look, it does it again. And so I got to go through that whole thing over and over and over again. Really insanely annoying. So there's a few more here. Most of the other ones aren't as terrible. Why do I have to complete this CAPTCHA? Bicycles. More bicycles. All right, good. We made it in. Okay, so those are some examples, and they'll give you a sense of timing on it. And also, there are services. So there are literally businesses where people have to, or their whole job is to fill these out so that you don't have to. It's extraordinary, actually. Anyway, so those. So the idea for that, as far as services, is that if you're working in a group and you want to do something like this, you would do a few examples of this, of the realCAPTCHA, and then you would create an advertisement for it saying, hey, look, we can, this is the latest and greatest technology, and you can play with, have, one or two people in your group working on the advertising of it and making it like it's an actual product. So, but that's one, that is an option, okay? So if you're working alone, that's a great, that'd be a fun little project to do, and I'm happy to help. However, that is not the only thing here. So if we go to course content, you'll see that there is now an editing and creative visual effects and motion design section. And right up here at the top is our creative visual effects and editing Milanote page. So that is the realCAPTCHA, the one I just showed you. But what I'd like you to do, if you're not interested in that, is get inspired. There are many, many examples out there. So over here on the right, we've got a few examples. Of course, Zach King is making millions of dollars doing this, but we also have a few more examples. And so I'm going to go and show us. So Peter Quinn is, he's a lot of fun. This is one great example. And what he does with these videos is creates seamless loops and with these visual effects. So yeah, a lot of fun, and I highly recommend trying to reproduce one of these. So, and you can see that he actually does have a walkthrough for it.
Make this thing. First thing we need
to... but yeah, he does all kinds of just fun little sort of rotoscoped examples here. I actually did one of these in that, yeah, going down here. So I did it, so I set up in in a stairwell and pointed it at the convex mirror and then ran down the stairs. Forever. So yeah, lots of cool, fun examples. You know, just fun little editing tricks. You know, some simple masking, and but it's more the idea, okay? That gets fun here. This is also a good one. Yeah, good, clean fun. Where was that one I wanted to show you? He did... Yeah, this one is great, and he does a walkthrough for this as well. And over and over and over. So, and then you can see here, he just goes through how he creates it in After Effects. So that's Peter Quinn, but of course there's Cash Bunny, who does stuff with her friends, including parenting. Yeah, a lot of fun. So what they did was, yeah, they just put it together. They had 5 seconds or 4.5 seconds to work. And what they had to do is just work with the person before and after and match up that same seamless loop. So a lot of fun there. And so, yeah, a lot of, yeah, you can try something like that for your tutorial or for your project. Here is Karen X. This is her website, so she's got a bunch of tutorials on what she, on some of the fun visual effects stuff she does. A lot of great stuff. All right. And of course, like I mentioned, there's yeah, Zach King, and then there's some examples of how he's doing it with match cuts. So yeah, this idea is really about playing with the idea of film and TV, and you can do that with jump cuts, with match cuts, and with simple masking. Okay, so I will let you look around. This one here is an excellent resource simply because it, well, there's some interesting cuts there, but right here, we've got, yeah, just a fun sort of tutorial on the match cut, and then there's some invisible cuts as well. Split comping is actually really interesting, and it's called the Fincher effect. I'd never really heard about this until doing some research for this, and now we're just gonna look. Okay. Yeah, it's a really interesting use of just putting your camera on a tripod or you know, making it steady, and then basically just what you're doing is splitting this up so that you can you know, have different parts of the edit on one scene or the other. But what you could do here is actually create, you know, you could be talking to yourself and using this sort of split comp idea. So I'll let you do some research. There's some tools, much like Video Leap, And if you follow Video Leap on Instagram, they have a ton of tutorials for use on their stuff. And Surface Studio does a lot of fun examples as well. Just in basic editing, just sort of doing fun little scenes, and he's a lot of fun to watch. He's a funny guy. All right, so there you go. That's some examples for you. And yeah, I want us to have some fun on our final assignment. All right, there you go. There's me back, and 20 minutes to introduce your final assignment. So start thinking whether or not you want to work in a group. And if you do want to work in a group, maybe you want to try to recreate one of these setups, okay? Karen Chang and Cash Bunny do a lot of working together with other people and creating these sort of impossible sequences. But there's a ton of them out there, especially on social media. So go and get inspired and create something fun. All right. So there you go, and we'll see you in class. Feel free to email me with ideas and also questions if you find something someone's done and there's no tutorial for it. Bring it to class and we'll figure it out together. All right. So we'll see you next time. Cheers.